what you expect, nigga, switch perspectives. You know she got objectives, no point in trying to lecture. Don't let that shit affect you, just let the bros protect you. In the end, flip the script, she must be glad she met you. Yeah. See, now I'm feeling masculine.
Welcome back to Opinionated, the podcast, season 3. I am your host, Joshua Hicks, and alongside me, as always, my brother from another mother, Ree Washington. And today, ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard of Rick Ross, but today we got Stephen Green in the building with all the swag. Stephen, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, bro. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm
That's
just
what's up.
happy to have you. Heard a lot about you, bro.
Appreciate it.
Stephen, just tell the people a little bit about yourself, like your upbringing, your childhood, and how you were formed to today.
I would say pretty much I was actually born in Sikeston, Missouri, which is like southern, south Missouri.
Okay.
Came to Kansas City when I was about 10, so pretty much Kansas City all my life. Went to Grandview High School, graduated. Went to community college for a little bit, dropped out, went straight into the work field. And so I started my photography business, I would say officially. I actually started my high school senior year, being more active, like actually considering it a business. But I want to say 2012 is when I took it serious. So been a photographer for almost 10 years now. From there, did a lot of creative direction work, wardrobe styling, personal styling, and then recently modeling. So that's kind of my whole story background with that.
What made you step in front of the camera, though? So from taking pictures to kind of stepping in front of the camera, that's a big transition. So what made you step in front?
Honestly, man, it happened by accident. So with Instagram, with me wanting to do personal styling, I want to say around 2018, I took to Instagram to do more like style catered posts. So like I do reels, well not reels at the time, it was just like video content, but also like photography content. But I use myself pretty much as like my muse. To show like different looks, different styles and vibes for men. And I think what happened was during that time that I was doing that, like casting directors just started hitting me up for modeling gigs out of nowhere, like for Target, Levi's. That was kind of my first clients that reached out. And so from there, I was like, well, I'm not really a model, but you know, when you get that gig and they send you that rate sheet, I'm like, okay, well, you know what I'm saying? This is cool. Yeah, I can do this. It's cool, second income. But that's actually how I got started. And so with that, you know, with my photography, background in photography, I work with models all the time, developing their books and things like that. So pretty much already having that blueprint, that's pretty much just what I use for myself. So I just went to my studio. My wife took my digitals for me. I was building my book during that time. It was COVID when I got signed. So literally I was shooting a lot of content myself at home, pretty much kind of building my portfolio. And then 2 weeks later after I submitted, ended up getting signed.
But let's go back a little bit, man. Let's talk about the swagger and the self-esteem that you built within yourself. So I know it had to come did it come at a young age where you was like, man, you know, I've always confident in myself, or what was it?
I would say, honestly, I've always had a confidence about myself, but I was never truly confident in myself.
Gotcha.
I was confident in who I was, but not necessarily how I approach the world.
Gotcha.
And I think the older that I got, I became more comfortable with who I was and my place in this world and how I wanted to pretty much present myself. And that became kind of more of like my identity and learning who I was. And so it just adapted. And I think style was a good way to segue into that because, you know, a lot of my fits for some people may be a little bit more bolder, especially for, you know what I'm saying, a big and tall
guy,
dude. So it was just me always just not really caring what people think, not really caring about society's kind of mode and standard and really just doing me.
Yeah, because I mean, Ree always touched on it. We met in college and he always was like, man, Josh, like, you a bigger dude, but like, man, you carry yourself, you know, clean, you always smell good, you always, you know, I have that confidence. And I was like, hey, you know, that started from a young age. Like, my mama always told me, she was like, hey, it's one thing to be a big guy, but don't ever be a sloppy big guy. Yeah. And I think that was just something I always had in the back of my mind, is like, you know what, just because I'm a little bit bigger doesn't mean that I have to be a slouch and everybody looking at me like, ooh, that's that big guy in there. So, I mean, like, you, like, when I see you, I'm like, it gives me like that heavy D, like Rick Ross, like all these bigger guys, but that swagger along with it. That's like, now you got yourself Stephen Green in the building.
Yes, sir.
So how do you handle? Do you get any critics? Do you come across stuff like that? Do you pay attention to it, or you know, there can be subliminal messages within the message itself? Like, you know, they're saying something that might be negative or positive, and you're taking like bits and pieces of it. Have you ever found yourself doing that?
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, with And a lot of people don't know. So with that moment with Rihanna Savage X Fenty, that was actually my first shoot, like as a sign model. So that was like my first shoot out the gate, and then it went viral. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like I was never like shirtless on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm confident, but I ain't that confident. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I got gym goals, but I'm like, yeah, I ain't there yet. So it was one of those moments where I was like, shoot, like it is what it is. I went into it knowing that. Obviously it was going to be seen by people, but not necessarily the magnitude that it was. So obviously it giving me a world international platform now, I just had to pretty much just roll with the punches. And I think, you know, with that, yeah, you see criticism, you see comments and all of that, but honestly the love was so heavy, like I didn't even pay attention to it. And I mean, when I see stuff or I hear stuff, like, you know what I mean, like it literally just roll off my shoulder, you know what I mean, because the balance of love and like hate is so like here, you know what I mean? Like it's so much love. I put all my energy back into the people that actually support, you know what I'm saying, what I'm doing, support me as a person, and really just, you know, I just reciprocate love. So that's kind of pretty much how I move with it. But I mean, you know, sometimes I definitely want to clap back, you know what I mean? I come from a family where we just, we gonna roast you, but you know what I'm saying? That's just like waste of energy. I really ain't feel like I needed to. But you know, if I got time, I'll give you time. So
yeah, boy, right.
I just look at it like that. But you know what I mean? It's all love. Like I said, man, people just show mad love, and that's just pretty much how I deal with it. I just don't let it roll off. I don't even give it no mind.
Right. I don't even know how I came across your page one day. I'm like, let me follow. And then I think you end up coming through here one day. I'm like, hey, you so-and-so. And I think that's how you and I first kind of made that connection. Like, hold on. Okay, I know you from so. Hold on right quick. Yeah. There you go. So, no, I've been following for a minute, man. I've been following you for a minute, man.
And, like, how did it feel like to be, like, one of your first major shoots, be with, like, Rihanna?
Man, it was dope. Honestly, like I knew it was gonna be underwear, so I was kind of skeptical, you know, from the gate. Like, sheesh, like first shoot in my drawers, like you know what I'm saying. And then it's Ree, but it's Ree, so I'm not gonna say no. You know what I'm saying? So it was just an opportunity that I'm like, man, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm gonna definitely seize the moment and take advantage of the situation, because I feel like one, it came down to pretty much her making that decision. So I feel like, you know, to be handpicked by Rihanna, that's kind of, you know what I'm saying, some accolades. And I feel like, you know, it was a God moment that was intentional. So I just took advantage of it and just take it as a blessing.
I like that spin. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I like that spin that you had. Like, you kind of go into it like you kind of like, skeptical, but hold on, like this is some draws right here. But you know, you're not the only one out there who probably goes through that. Like, damn, they want me to do what? Facts. And then again, they just roll with it. Like, fuck it, we gonna do it. And then it actually turns out greater than what it is, because they can't tell in the pictures that you post that beforehand. You like, man, this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I like that aspect. I didn't look at it like that, because I mean, I don't take that many pictures and stuff like that. But I didn't look at it like that.
And I mean, how did your life change after that shoot?
Man, it's still changing to this day. I mean, it's ever evolving. I think, you know, it's just a blessing, you know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, just meeting people, you know what I'm saying, of different backgrounds, and just connecting with different people that I probably wouldn't have connected with before, but, you know, they recognize me, or they see what I'm doing. They see the passionate, you know, just things that I've done, whether it was photography, wardrobe styling, just in my creative spaces, just really being able to connect with people all over the world, to make impact, you know what I'm saying, and be an inspiration for people who don't necessarily feel like they can be a bigger dude and they can enter in certain spaces. They still struggling with their confidence. Like, you know, that moment opened up the opportunity to really have conversation now. And then I like to dress, I like designer, I like fashion, you know what I'm saying? So now it's a conversation that, okay, now we need mainstream designers to come out with some 2XLs on the runway.
Size.
You know what
we
I'm
need
saying?
the 2XLs, 3XLs.
Like, we like luxury too. We like to put on, you know what I'm saying? We like to put that fit on. So it's just like, you know, now this conversation is being able to be had. And I think, you know, big picture, like it was all worth it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a constant, like, evolving thing in my life that is ever evolving, ever changing. And I just wake up every day with gratitude, you know what I'm saying? Just thankful that, you know, God chose me to kind of carry that mantle in this space, but also just accept the new opportunities, the new connections, and the new awareness that's happening. So
do you feel like you're in a position that, you know, later on when you look back at it, maybe 10, 20 years from now, you'd be like, I paved the way for big guys? Like, I'm one of those staples that have paved that road.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, honestly, like, I would say now that's pretty much how it is. And I think I feel that burden kind of at times. And I don't want to necessarily say it's a burden, but I just feel the weight of it, you know what I mean? Because I feel like, you know, people do all over still reach out all over the world, you know what I'm saying? Just like thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of confidence. You know, I never would have thought to do it. So I think, you know, that's just always pushing me to keep moving forward, even when in times where it do get heavy, you know what I'm saying? And it's hard to carry, just even creating content, you know what I'm saying? Or just doing anything that can be a minute, you know, task. I think, you know, that type of feedback keeps me going, keeps me moving forward. So, yeah, man.
Go ahead, Ree.
What are some of the downsides? Because there are, you know, positive sides, and, you know, I think that's what a lot of people see. But I think what Josh and I have found out, just talking to people with different backgrounds, you see that, you know, like, you know, people post their wins, they don't really post their failures, and then it has people going into certain things and activities and tasks, like you said, and they don't see that side of it, so they're ready to quit, they're ready to fail. So what are just some things that, like, if they ever wanted to, you know, follow your footsteps or get within something that is, you know, similar, like what are some things to be expected?
Yeah. So I would say, I think for me, some things to be expected, I guess even from a model's perspective, I had to get used to hearing no. You know what I'm saying? Even though a lot of opportunity came from, you know, that moment, and it gave me a platform and a bigger audience, but it's still like I'm in a competition with other people too still in the same time when it comes to like my job in this industry. So I think, you know, just hearing the word no all the time, or more often than you would want to, definitely with opportunities that you actually want, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's kind of hard to bounce back from if you don't have that tough skin, or if you're not in a position to where emotionally like you can handle that kind of hustle and bustle of it, you know what I'm saying? Right. So that's one thing I would say for sure. That's kind of the downsides of it. Another thing is just really like I would say in any place where you reach success, your circle will change, you know what I'm saying? And not even just your circle, but I think, you know, it's the people that's closest to you that are more affected, you know what I'm saying? It's people outside that's like, man, I really support dude. I'm like, you know what I mean? And I think that new energy is perceived different, but you would expect that energy from the people that's closest to you. Who've been around longer, but they don't. You know what I'm saying? Or they switch up, or they act different. And it's just like weird, because it's like you never changed. You know, God just opened up an opportunity for me or for you to do something great, and it became successful, but you're still that same person. But I think the way that they perceive you is different. And I think, you know, not realizing that a lot of times it's our perception of other people based upon their success is what causes a lot of rifts and changes versus the person themselves. And so that's kind of one of the things that I would say to be expected, one of the downsides. But I think, you know, with that, I would say I also align with people that are more in alignment with my goals and my aspirations and my lifestyle, my way of living and thought process. And I think, you know, it's a good thing. So ultimately, I wouldn't look at any of them as a downside. It was just more something I would say to expect, but just to be aware. Yeah, challenges. Be aware of it and just roll with the punches and do what you need to do to kind of stay in alignment to overcome it.
Because you had mentioned that, you know, coming with a new job is a new territory, new people, new energies and all that. Do you ever feel that pressure of now you're in a occupation like such as modeling where you may ever have to like change yourself or anything like that? Do you ever feel like you have to change to fit into the room?
Yeah, and that's funny. I just made a caption about a post the other day that, you know, sometimes you have to be yourself because you're what the room is waiting on. You know what I'm saying? You're the energy that the room needs. And I was at a workshop with a stylist, Jay Bolin, and it's a statement he made about pretty much shifting the energy of the room. Because for me, like, I'm a believer, you know what I'm saying? So morally, a lot of things I don't do, I wouldn't do. And I think, you know, just with that, and then also different components of how I move, you know what I'm saying? I don't hang with everybody. I'm not, you know, trying to be in every circle. I'm not trying to be on the scene and nothing like that. So I think, you know, I'm very strategic and intentional about how I move. I think that, you know, with that, you have to be okay with that. And you have to be so sure of yourself, because honestly, that's what a lot of people are seeking. They're seeking that for themselves. You know what I mean? A lot of the people, they try to come, but they faking it. You know what I'm saying? They trying to be top dog, but you really not him. You know what I'm saying? Are you really not her? You're not that person. You know what I mean? But it's okay. Like, you don't have to be okay with being yourself and being okay with your circumstances and what you have to offer, because sometimes somebody actually walking in their true self, they can shift the energy in the room. You know what I'm saying? They can shift what the expectation is when they see somebody, like, you know what I mean? It's like they would expect something to be different because they watching other people who still aren't sure of themselves. Yeah. And that's how they move. But to see somebody moving, sure of themselves, you know, you just inspire somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You inspired another person, inspiring somebody else by simply just being you authentically. And I think,
making your purpose popular.
Making your purpose popular. And I think, that's kind of the things that I live by. And I want to always make sure that my purpose is always intentional and that I want to inspire you to just be your best self.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Show up you. Don't show up trying to flex, trying to be somebody you not. Like, just show up you and that's it. Like, that's the expectation.
So what do you do when it's time to decompress and to get away from everything? And, you walk around, you might be seen, somebody might know you, you know what I'm saying? And it's that whole interaction that you have to put on, maybe that you don't want to put on right then and there. You just want to kind of be yourself. So what do you do for yourself on any given day that kind of takes your mind away from, your job in a sense, or your passion? You know what I'm saying? How can you just relax?
So for me, I love to travel. So that's one thing I always look forward to. Like, we take a vacation for sure at least twice a year. So I'm always looking forward to that vacation to like completely unplug. But I would say like on a day-to-day or like a monthly thing, a lot of people look at it as self-care, type things. But for me, it's more like just taking the time to just be inward. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether that's just at home chilling, watching Netflix, that's just me being intentional about the time that I want to dedicate to myself.
Right.
And being intentional about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not just doing it because it's like, well, it's decompressing, but it's like, nah, I'm going to actually not check no emails. I'm going to not get on social. I'm going to actually take some time to catch up on this series I wanted to watch. I'm going to catch up, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to actually cook a meal I've been wanting to cook.
Right.
So really just taking the time to be intentional about the things that I want to do for myself.
Is there anybody that you kind of keep top tier, like you're inspired by their craft? Is there anybody out there that you kind of, look up to in a sense?
Yeah. Honestly, man, it's a lot of people I admire, their work ethic, their, you know what I'm saying, their style, just how they move and carry themselves. It's so many people. I really couldn't pick a favorite, to be honest.
Because they all bring their different.
Because it's not even about status. It's people I can see on a day-to-day basis that inspire me just because they just are themselves authentically and they do that well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They do them well. So I think, I'm inspired by everyday people, you know what I'm saying, who are just good at being them.
And I wanted to ask you, since you are a model now, like, does your wife ever mess with you now? Like, be like, oh yeah, that's my baby right there. That's my man who on the cover and all that. Like, how is that dynamic between you and her?
Man, it's so dope. Like, my wife is the GOAT. She stayed gassing me. I honestly wouldn't be in the predicament or the position that I'm in, honestly, without her. And that's just real talk. Like, she definitely pushed me and affirmed me in a way. Like, I would definitely say, man, if you got the one, like, make sure she can affirm you. You know what I'm saying? And I think, for her, she did that for me. So even if it wasn't like, it can be a fit, like, it ain't really hitting, she gonna gas it up. Yeah. Even if she don't really like it, I know she don't like it. But because I kind of got that okay, or I'm like, okay, well, you know what I'm saying? Well, you got it. I'm gonna just do it anyway. And it might be a miss, but but the act of doing and being affirmed and to continue to do, like, that's just what it is. And I think now, like, she stays still gassing my post. What's up? You look good, daddy. Yeah, so it's just like, that vibe is always there. But, of course, we're going viral and, women just kind of saying anything. Like, that was that. Because, I mean, she's still a woman. She gonna do that.
Right. Exactly.
But I think, we talked about it. We made sure to be intentional. I made sure to also just kind of affirm her that, she still is that person for me, you know what I mean? So that was a moment, but we got over that, and so now she just rolling with it. She rocking with it.
Because I'm sure she was like, when y'all first got married, she was like, I ain't know I was gonna get married to no model or anything like that. But like Ree had kind of touched on it earlier in the beginning questions. It was like, how did you transition from being behind the camera to in front of the camera? But I kind of want to go back and say, let's talk about how you were behind the camera.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I would say photography really is how I am, I guess, such a successful model. A lot of the insight that I have and the experiences and connections that I was able to make just, learning, I just pretty much utilize that in modeling. So I've been a photographer, like I said, since my sophomore year in high school is when I started. I was on my yearbook staff and took pictures for the yearbook, took pictures around the school and stuff. And so that was kind of like where I got my start. So I knew I would have a camera in my hand at some point. Then from there, taking it more seriously and then developing a business, I wanted to become a fashion photographer. So, to shift there, I had to actually create a brand, make sure my work reflected the type of audiences and clients that I wanted to attract. So making that shift and investing in myself. Like, I did a lot of traveling to workshops. I traveled to build my book. Like, I didn't just stay local to just shoot. You know what I'm saying? I was very intentional about what I did. So I think just having that intentionality and making sure that it aligned with where I want it to be is what I do as well with modeling. You know what I'm saying? I try to make sure that everything is intentional.
And I'm just like being in the profession that you're in, I'm sure being a model, like it's taking you to some interesting places and some new places. Like, can you share that a little bit with us? Like where you have traveled?
Yeah, man. So, man, it keeps me busy. So, of course, being to, a lot of the places in the States, LA, New York, pretty often, Dallas,
Go to
Florida,
Miami?
Atlanta. I haven't been to Miami yet, but hopefully, we make that happen soon. Or our client makes that happen soon, so I ain't got to pay for it. But yeah, man, last year, I was able to go to Munich, Germany.
Okay.
And work with a brand out there for about a week, a little bit over a week. A brand called Heimer, and so I was working with them out there, and they work with Hugo Boss, Jack and Jane, Polo Ralph Lauren, a few different brands like that. And so we was out there. I was out there for, like I said, a week, and we were shooting e-commerce, video content. We were shooting the campaign images. So it was dope, man. It was good to really. I've never been to Europe. I've been to other places in Asia, been to Philippines, and we do a lot of traveling to like the islands for vacation, but never been to Europe. So the opportunity, to come from modeling, man, was dope. You know what I'm saying? And then connect with those, that team, what I'm saying? And just that whole, like, it was an experience, man. It was mad cool. It was mad comfortable. The city was dope, beautiful, good weather. So yeah, man.
And like, just tell me a little bit, like, I don't want you to name drop by any means, but it's like, you ever been in a situation where a brand or a company's asked you to wear something and you're like, man, this is not it, but the check is there and I got to put it on. Can you tell us about any of those experiences?
For sure. Now, right now, I definitely turned down some bread. Being in that situation, it was something that didn't really align to where I'm at. My lifestyle, how I live, it didn't align. So yeah, it was some situations I had to just turn it down because it didn't align. You know what I'm saying? It's not where I'm trying to go. It's not really in the direction of my path. And but the good thing about it, it opened up an opportunity for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, it wasn't a lose for me because obviously another situation better gonna come that's more in alignment to where I'm going. But also looking at it on the opposite end, that it helps somebody else kind of get there. That's where they are, and that was opportunity for them. They sought after it. But outside of that, I mean, most of the times it's not really nothing like that to where I would say it's like, this I ain't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than that, I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
But most of the brands that I've worked with has been solid, for sure.
And like, how do you go about keeping your image and your brand, just popping on like social media platforms? Like, how do you always just keep it fresh and don't kind of repeat it a little bit?
Yeah. I would say consistency and just staying inspired, doing what I know for me, what keeps me creative. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that's finding that time to decompress, but also like doing things that I want to do. You know what I mean? As a creative, you have a vision to create. And you have these ideas, you have these things you want to do, but sometimes they lie dormant because you don't take the time to invest in it, or you don't take the time to actually build out the plan, to map out, get it on paper, to do the networking, to get the people in place to do it. So I think, learning what I learned in photography is to actually take that time to do it and just simply do it. You know what I'm saying? And when I do those, like when I see a vision come to life, that's when I'm most inspired. You know what I'm saying? So I think, just taking that time to be intentional about doing that, to see my vision come to life, and that just keeps feeding more ways to be creative and taking advantage of the downtime to do that.
Do you ever miss, now that you're in front of the camera, do you ever miss like making other people's visions come to life? Maybe like photography wise, because you see something that, hey, I want it like this, I want like this. Do you miss that aspect of it, or do you think your aspect now and what you're doing now is really fulfilling you?
For sure.
Or is it a mixture?
It's a mixture. Thank you for giving me the option, because I was going to say it's a mixture because I feel like it's both. I feel like I do miss aspects of it from a creative standpoint, being able to give people that opportunity to help them, whether it's with wardrobe styling, with lighting, with location, doing all of that from a creative director standpoint, building that vision out. But from a technical side, as a model, I just got to show up. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But from a photographer standpoint, I got to worry about lighting, the equipment, doing the editing process.
But one thing they'll notice, man, I like suits. That's my thing. So
Yeah.
usually, like, if I want to do a shoot or something, I grab a suit, tie. You know, kind of like that dressy feeling. And something I learned, his name was Marcus, man. He kind of brought that confidence out of me, like, because you have to have a look, right? So what's that look that you're going for? And then when he sees it, he's like, nah, hit it like this. There you go. And then, you know, you talk back and forth when you're taking pictures and stuff like that. And that's one thing I've seen is just like, nah, like, then I can hit that look without him being there now. But beforehand, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I had to get a mirror in front of me, so it's like I'm looking at him, but the mirror's behind him, so I can see what he's talking about. So that's something I've learned, like with taking pictures and stuff like that. It does help when somebody helps pull it out of you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, everybody have a different perspective and they see things differently, and it's good to have somebody who's seasoned in what they do to be able to see what you don't see, but also see what you do see.
Right.
So that way, you know, they don't also put too much of them on you, but can help balance that and bring out more of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So
yeah,
it's fire.
I know that you had mentioned like you can't really say, you can't name a list of people like that inspire you or that you know look up to as far as like in your field, but like, can you give us like maybe a top 5 of people who are in the fashion industry that you're like, hey, they style, they swag, they always bring it?
Yeah. For sure. So like Steve Harvey is killing it right now. So I got to shout out his stylist, Ellie. I'm not even sure how to pronounce his last name.
Uncle Steve, keep it young. He keep it young.
Yeah, he's killing
you
Uncle
go.
Steve with the tailoring. I mean, the color palette. Like he's killing it right now. So he's definitely up there. Dex Robb, he styles a lot of athletes. He's killing it. Shoot. Let me see. Top 5. Oh man, you got me thinking.
Well, usually when we have the women always say Tiana Taylor.
Yeah. Hey, Tiana, she up there. Let me see. I'm trying to think, man. Well, let me shout out Wifey's Business, My Girl Stories. With
As
the
you
lifestyle
should.
brand. Yeah.
As you should.
You know, she's doing it for the ladies with the crew necks and the tees and, you know, the shorts and all of that. So check her out, My Girl Stories. Let me see. Man,
Go
it's
ahead
so-
and throw
you got me.
yourself on that list.
Yeah, let me throw myself. So I'm actually dropping a clothing line too called Official by Stephen G. So I'm working on that. That's been keeping me busy, but definitely want to for men like get like clothing that's actually like affordable, but you get that athleisure, but also luxury vibe. So stay tuned for that. Official by Stephen G. That's coming soon.
Definitely had a question. How much does the color palette play into, you know, a person and just because I know certain colors look good on me and I kind of tend to those. And
sure.
so how much does the color palette, how long does that usually take? Because you play around with colors and different colors look good on different people.
Facts. I think it just depends on the person because I'm all about style. You know what I'm saying? I'm for fashion, but I'm more so for style. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So I guess to kind of give some clarity to that, fashion is about clothing, like, you know, just the clothing. You can have the Gucci, Versace, Fendi, Balenciaga, fashion, but that doesn't necessarily make you stylish. So I think color palette kind of helps develop a person's style. And like, I know a lot of people now, like it's becoming kind of a more of a trend, but some people who just been doing this and this been them is more like minimalistic. So like they color palettes is all like nude colors, hunter green, burnt orange, you know what I'm saying? And that's them, you know what I'm saying? They stick with the color palette of just that. So I think it depends on your personal style, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like if you more of a riskier fashion person, you may be more colorful, or else like you may be more chill. You like just neutral tones, you like just black and white, you know what I mean? Like, or grays, black, white, and grays, that can be your vibe. So I think like really finding your style, like taking the time to really develop your style, that's key. Because then like you'll actually see yourself start developing a color palette. You know, and I would say, I guess to more so answer your question, that could happen over time. I don't think that's nothing that you kind of just happen overnight because like some people are still learning their style, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't necessarily take those risks and experiences, but over time you definitely find your style and that color palette kind of shows itself.
Okay.
And are there like, give like, let's say our younger viewers who are like in college, let's say, you know, they might not be able to afford the top designer and the name brands. What are some options that you could probably tell them that can still help them have that good look when they go out?
For sure, man. Honestly, man, style comes into play because you can shop anywhere and just find pieces and then make it a fit. And I think, you know, taking the time to really save your money just to buy those designer pieces that you want. But start with the basics. Go to Old Navy. Go to ASOS. Go to H&M. You know what I'm saying? Get some fresh, like,
I
sweats
rock with ASOS.
Yeah. ASOS is the spot.
Pay the $20, you get it shipped within 2 days.
Facts.
Ship it back in 2 days.
Facts.
Yes, sir.
Facts.
Ship
And
it
they
back
got
in 2
Get your
days.
money back. They got everything.
They got everything. That's a one-stop
They
shop.
got all the little
Accessories.
Chelsea boots and
bro,
all
they
that
got
shit.
everything.
They got the brunch boots.
And then, like I said, if you don't like the size, then send it back. Get the same. Oh
Yes,
yeah.
sir. And they got the size options for you. So my
Yep.
big and tall fellas.
Yep.
I'm not sure which one the main is, but I'm gonna look at both of them. Big and tall, man. They got up to like 4X, I think, on ASOS.
Yeah.
And Boohoo, you know what I'm saying? They actually are stylish pieces as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, that's somewhere you can definitely go to find it. But honestly, tailoring is key. So I'm gonna drop this gem just for the fellas. Like, tailoring is key. And it's not just for a suit. Like, make sure to tailor your clothes. I'll tailor my sweatpants, tailor my jeans, my tees, because I want it to fit how I want it to fit for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, some stuff you can get straight off the rack and be cool, but other stuff you can't. And I think like that kind of helps the style part of it.
Who would you take it to get tailored? Because you can't just go to anybody, I feel like.
For sure. I feel like you definitely got to find a good tailor who knows your style. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been through a couple tailors that didn't really know my style. They kind of were like, well, this is just how you should do it from a technical standpoint. But when you have a tailor who understands style too, then they like, okay, I get what you're going for. So it's not like a question.
It's almost like trying to find
back
a
and
barber,
forth.
huh? That you
Facts,
trust.
it is. Low key, it is. It's kind of like finding that relationship to where like, okay, you may be learning me, but I know you're gonna get me right. And then once they get you right, they keep getting you right.
Yeah.
And so I think
artist too.
facts. So I say like, man, look on Google, look at designers locally who offer tailoring services. I go to a older lady. She's off Warnell in KC. So
Shout
I've been
out,
going
shout
to her.
out. Yeah.
Alla's tailoring. Her and her husband have a shop there, so she tailors and he does like shoe repair. So yeah, I go there, but you can find tailors anywhere. I mean, like in suit shops and things like that. But that's just who I go to. But definitely, you want to find somebody who gets your
Because I
style.
most definitely
get
found
you
me a
right.
tailor in Miami where I'm like, whenever I got a question or like I got a new suit,
Yup.
I'm going straight to him and he made me look right.
Facts. Because definitely for us, big and tall.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you got to get us right. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like if we want to taper pants, taper that pants.
Yeah,
Don't have
because
us looking like
especially in
old
my
Steve.
situation, it's like
about old-
I'm wide, but then I'm shorter, so it's like, hey man, everything gotta look good
Everything
and
gotta
clean.
look right.
Yep,
Facts.
man. You got any more? Ree? I mean, Steven, you came in here, man. You made me raise my shoulders back a little bit. I mean, you bringing it for the big dudes and just people in general. I mean, I think what you're doing is awesome. Ree talked a lot about you before you even got on the show, and I was like, yeah, we definitely got to have you on here, man. You did not disappoint. He's Ree Washington. I go by the name of Joshua Hicks. This is another episode of Opinionated the Podcast, Season 3. Love y'all. There's a small window in life that we face where we get to live our lives to the fullest. We work and grind so hard to accomplish goals that we have set out that we lose track of the bigger picture. Pleasing everyone will cause a short life, but pleasing the ones who add value to yours will make it a long and prosperous one. Your inner circle is your peace and safe haven. This week, appreciate life and the love that comes with it. As always, see love.